Welcome to Moneyline MMA coverage of UFC Vegas 73. Coming to you, of course, from the UFC Apex in Las Vegas, Nevada on this Saturday, which will be the 20th of May, with the prelims starting at 3 p.m. Central Time. The main card will start at 6 p.m. Central Time. The main fight on this fight night here, it's going to be a fight that was moved from last week's, what was going to be a last week's 3-round fight, is now the main event 5-round fight between Mackenzie Dern and Angela Hill, strawweight women's fight with some good, good implications is the word I'm looking for on that division. But that being said, we're going to go forward with our usual weight system here. So just to quickly recap, our weight system, it consists of our 5 picks that we make for each of the 5 main card fights, and then we weight them in terms of confidence, with the 5 weight being the most confident pick of the 5 and the 1 weight being the least confident. So that helps the listeners get an idea of how confident we are in these picks. As you know, we can pick these fighters, but we don't always have the same levels of confidence, and each weight is used once. So we like to start from our most confident picks and move to our least confident picks. Nonetheless, there's still picks on the fights, but in terms of who we're most confident in, for me, my 5 weight this Saturday is going to be Michael Johnson. This fight is opening up the main card, a lightweight fight between 2 relatively older veterans, Michael Johnson and Diego Ferreira. But what the interesting part is here, Michael Johnson's been in the UFC for so long, Jose. It's crazy. And he's fought so many of the top fighters that the lightweight division has ever seen. Beat some of them, lost to a lot of them, because it's Khabib, because it's Gaethje. These guys are just nuts that he's fought. And he's also beaten some pretty good names. He beat Dustin Poirier in 2016, Edson Barboza in 2015. I'm very much so an advocate of not counting fights that are 5, 6, 7 years old that heavily, but it just kind of goes to show how long he's been around, and the fact that he is still younger than Diego Ferreira is interesting. Ferreira also has a couple of tough fighters under his belt. Anthony Pettis, which he was able to beat Anthony Pettis in 2020. That's impressive. Lost to Dariush, who's in a title contention fight coming up soon, and Mateusz Gamrot, who's been hot. I mean, this dude's also losing to some tough fighters, but I don't know, Jose. In the end, I'm very confident in Michael Johnson being the better striker here, and I don't honestly think there's going to be any concern at all from Diego Ferreira on the ground. That's just me. I understand that he was able to submit Anthony Pettis. I don't think he's going to be able to do the same to Michael Johnson. To me, this is going to stand most of the fight. I think Michael Johnson pretty much significantly will win this in the striking department. So that's why I've got him on my 5 weight. He is currently actually a plus 122 underdog. I can't believe it. So this is an underdog pick for my best top pick of this Saturday's fight card. Jose, what do you have for this?
So for this fight, I have it highly ranked too. But I actually have Diego Ferreira winning this, and reason being is, yes, he's on a 3-fight losing streak, but kind of I think losing to Beneil Dariush and Mateusz Gamrot and Gregor Gillespie, even though his last fight wasn't 2021, but those 3 names in a row, losing to those guys, I mean, those are guys that are they're just kind of getting towards their prime, like especially Beneil Dariush and Gamrot. Like, dudes are forces to be reckoned with. While Michael Johnson, on the other hand, he went against dudes in their prime years ago. And I know you say you like not to look back too far, but Khabib, he fought Khabib back in the day. This 2016, and then he also has a win over Tony Ferguson, but that was Tony Ferguson before he started his amazing ass 12-fight winning streak. So he has fought great levels of competition, and he's showing that he can still get it done, even his most recent win. But that being said, I just don't think that the level of today compares. Both guys are kind of up there. Michael Johnson being both one being 38 and Michael Johnson being 36. So yeah, I don't know. I'm gonna go with Diego Ferreira. He's being the favorite in this one. So I'm gonna go with he's a bit older, but I think he should get it done. His last three losses, I think those were against legit competition, and I'm not gonna Michael Johnson to me. I just think that he was his losing streak. He's kind of like he's only got two wins in between his last seven fights. So that to me that's kind of concern. That's kind of concerning. So that being said, I'm going with Diego Ferreira. I just think this may not be Michael Johnson's night.
Yeah, I mean that's fair. That's fair, but I just don't. I don't think the reasoning there adds up personally. I get that Ferreira's had some tough opponents, but that alone doesn't mean that losing to them, he could just be given a pass. Um, that's the kind of thing that what you mentioned towards the end is Michael Johnson's still been able to succeed lately. In my opinion, he beat Jamie Mularkey. He lost by split decision. I mean, to me, he should be on a 3-fight win streak. And that being said, I really think Michael Johnson has a striking advantage. Of course, if you want to just look at strikes landed, he might not have the advantage, but it doesn't. We both know that it's not just all about the strikes that you land. It's about how important some of those strikes are, damage that you can make. And I think that's where the big difference here is going to be. Not to really to discount Ferrer, because again, he is a great fighter. I don't think this is going to be necessarily easy by any means. I just think Michael Johnson is going to be clearly the better man by the end of the 3 rounds here.
Yeah, for sure. And I think I mean if there's any way Diego Ferreira could get this win, I do think it could also be by submission. About half the losses Michael Johnson has due to submission, and 7 out of the 17 wins Diego Ferreira has are via submission. So if he doesn't win this by decision, I don't see Diego knocking him out. But I can see him submitting Michael Johnson. So yeah, that being said, yeah, I guess we'll have to agree to disagree on this one. You have Michael Johnson as 5, and I have Diego Ferreira at 4. And then that brings us up to our next fight. And for the next fight, this is my 5 weight. And this matchup is the main event between Mackenzie Dern and Angela Hill. And while right now, Mackenzie Dern, she is the betting favorite at minus 186, while Angela Hill is the betting underdog at plus 144. For this one, I'm going to go with Dern as my 5 weight, even though she's coming off a loss to Jan. We just saw how Jan looked pretty recently, putting out uh, uh, Jessica Andrade. And that being said, I'm very heavily on Jessica Andrade. Like I had Jessica Andrade going for that, and I thought Jessica Andrade was going to put her out. But we even said it best: if Jan came out, she had to start early to put Jessica Andrade out, and that's exactly what she did. To go to at least decision to her, I don't think is anything to shy away from, especially when jiu-jitsu is your primary discipline. So going to decision loss to a heavy striker like Jan, I think is still good, and it shows maturity. It's still in Mackenzie Dern's game. And before that, she had a split decision win over Tisha Torres. But before that, she was also before I lost Marina Rodriguez, she was on an incredible 4-fight winning streak as well. And I think right now Mackenzie Dern is just really falling into being a complete fighter. Her last fights, though, her striking has significantly gone up from what it used to be. Right now, she does have she throws three significant strikes per minute, and she can take some damage. But I think Angela Hill, for the most part, actually, before I get too far into this, what weight do you have this fight at, Nick?
I have Dern as my 4 weight. Really just looking at the grappling and jiu-jitsu side of things. Mackenzie Dern has a really pathetic takedown accuracy, which is concerning. And honestly, if we were still making this pick last week in the 3-rounder, probably would have taken Angela Hill because of the plus money there. I think it's really valuable. But both these girls do have 5-round fight experience, but Mackenzie Dern much more recently. And I think that 5-round, that extra 2 rounds tacked on the end, does help Mackenzie Dern personally. So that's kind of what leans me towards her. I think she'll eventually be able to get the takedown she's looking for. And probably if she doesn't win it by, straight up submission, she'll at least win by control time and just overall getting those takedowns.
Yeah, I think, and it's not crazy to say, but I do think the one thing Angela Hill does have going for her though is, besides coming off a 2-fight winning streak, but she's coming off wins against Emily Ducote and Lupita Gutierrez, who we're going to talk about. in like pretty soon, but those aren't big. Those aren't really like two names to really like, I guess, really like pat yourself over. Like I think going to decision to Yan kind of looks more impressive than a win over Dakota, but that's just me. But before that, I mean, just a lot of her fights recently, she's out of her like she's only got three wins and five losses. So out of her last eight fights, yeah, five of them she's lost, and she goes to decision. So, but this one I do think is a good chance of her winning via unanimous decision or split decision, I should say. But I think Dern can actually get it done within the distance. I think she could end up submitting Angela Hill.
Yeah, so we'll agree. I mean, even look at Vernie Andaroba was able to kind of handle Angela Hill, get 3 takedowns, win by decision. But what happens when she fights Mackenzie Dern? Not really the opposite. In fact, Vernon was still the only one to get takedowns, but Mackenzie Dern kind of held her own, had the same, almost the same amount of control time there. Got back on her feet and won the match via decision because of her striking. So that kind of just goes to show her striking is a little better than what some people expect. And yeah, in the end, it seems kind of. I don't really like to bet women's MMA, but definitely something to look at.
For sure. Yeah, so I guess for this one, we'll both agree with Mackenzie Dern. She's my 5 weight, and she is your 4 weight.
Yeah, so moving on, I do wish we had some more exciting fights to talk to you guys about on this card, but the UFC kind of just pieced this one together last minute. So my 3 weight for this one's going to be Joaquin Buckley fighting Andre Fialho. This one's not as confident as I usually would be in a 3 weight personally. Joaquin Buckley has a lot of power behind his strikes, but to be honest, man, both of these guys have been knocked out recently. So I can't just sit here and say that Joaquin Buckley is going to go in there and walk up and down on Andre Fialho. I just really don't think that's going to be the case. Fialho is very tough. He's very strong, and he's got like a really nice little combo there that I think he could use to keep Buckley at bay potentially. Buckley has peppered in some takedowns and shown like not just wanting to, like his fight against Albert Duraev, go in there and just get a KO, boom, boom, and end it. But I don't know. I don't know if it's really paying off well for him because he's lost those fights. So I do lean Buckley here, but for those reasons, not that heavily.
Yeah, I agree with you. I lean towards him as well. But Andre Fialho, he's a big test as well. He's going to be a slightly taller guy, and he has knockout power too. He's like his 2 wins before coming off these 2 back-to-back losses. He was coming off 2 back-to-back first round finishes. And Joaquin Buckley, he looks good, but he needs to really step it up. Being get knocked out by Chris Curtis in the second round too. I think he was better than that, and I think he can definitely show it in this fight. That's why he's my 3 weight as well. If he would have, I think he could have definitely beaten Chris Curtis as well. It just wasn't his night, and that's just the thing. He needs to be on his A game. In either guy for sure though too, because either or really realistically have the chances of knocking each other out. And I don't know. Yeah, I don't see this one going to decision.
Yeah, so maybe that's a good bet then from us. Maybe don't necessarily just take Buckley, but just make it a within the distance bet, and then whoever wins, you can still reap the benefits of a bet win there. And just to make sure, Jose, that was your what weight again?
That is my 3 weight.
Okay,
So
okay,
we
so
agree
we
on that
agree.
one.
And then I guess then moving on, we can go to your 2 weight.
So for my 2 weight, this one is between Anthony Hernandez and Edmund Shabazian. Right now, Anthony Hernandez is the betting favorite at minus 280, while Edmund Shabazian is the betting underdog at plus 210. I'm actually a little surprised about this one because Edmund Shabazian, I mean, he did have those 3 back-to-back losses, but he went against some bigger and better competition than him. And I still think he's in the running to be kind of like being a prospect. I mean, dude looked phenomenal early on in his UFC career, and he's only 25 years old. So the thing is, it'd be great. Like, I think he's a good underdog too, is what I'm trying to say. But for this one, I think there's just no denying Anthony Hernandez, though. Dude, he's on a 3 fight winning streak right now, and he's got great submission game. And Edmund Shabazian, though he has yet to lose by submission, I think Anthony Hernandez could be live too to grab his neck or something. So for this one, yeah, I'm going with Anthony Hernandez as my 2 weight. How about you, Nick?
Yeah, I think Anthony Hernandez's grappling is definitely the difference maker here. I think he's going to be able. He's got a 64% takedown accuracy. I think he's good at picking his spots. I don't think he's going to rush for it right at the beginning. I think he's going to trust some of his striking, kind of feel it out with Shabazian in the first round, and we may not see an actual takedown attempt or anything like that until round two. Who knows? It wouldn't surprise me, but I think when that comes, it'll be picked at a great time. I think Hernandez takes down Eben Shabazian, and I think he gets the submission. So yeah, that's pretty much my prediction on that. Hernandez is on a 3-fight winning streak for a reason, and like you said, Shabazian definitely could be still considered a prospect, having only 3 losses against some really good competition, man, really good competition. But again, kind of going back to the argument I had earlier in this discussion, is that just losing to good competition, it's great experience, but I need to see something in those fights where it's like, oh, you had him knocked down or something like that, and I'm not sure I've been seeing that out of Shabazian yet. So until I do, I'm not willing to put any money or bets on him. I'm taking Hernandez.
So yeah. So this one's back, another one we agree on. We both have Anthony Hernandez as our two
Yeah,
weight.
I was going to clarify. Yep, that is my 2 weight. So we do agree. And that's funny because then it leaves both of our 1 weights, and it's the last fight. So the only question then is, do we agree?
Right. And this one is the female fight. And this one's at between Emily Ducote and Lupi Godinez. And right now, Emily Ducote is the betting underdog at plus 130, while Godinez is the betting favorite at minus 170. For this one, yeah, it's one. We kind of referenced this one earlier. They both ended up losing to Angela Hill not long ago. And right now, I think I have Emily Ducote as my one way. Reason being is just her more activity and being more active and having a 59% finish rate compared to Godinez not having as much UFC experience and only having a 25% finish rate. For a while, Emily Ducote was riding a 4-fight winning streak as well in the UFC for Invicta before coming to the UFC. So that being said, my bad, I mixed them up. Godinez has more experience in the UFC, but I think that Invicta's competition though is very like it's a feeder to the UFC, and a lot of the female fighters do come from Invicta. So riding off a 4-fight winning streak and having the finishing power that she does, I think is what's going to get her the win over Godinez.
Yeah, man. Yeah, that's one of definitely the things that I was going to lean on as well. Being that I agree with Ducote, the underdog here as our 1 weight. Coming off a loss, that's fine. It's against Angela Hill, who's currently on the main event for this fight. I think Ducote, she's still, both of these girls really are still young, but the fact that she's got that Invicta experience to me is the biggest factor. She really succeeded in Invicta as well. I don't know if she quite became champion, but if not, very close. And she left Invicta on a high note, having won. So I don't know, man. Definitely impressed with some of the things she's been able to accomplish. And I don't know if you mentioned either that Lupina's coming in on short notice, man. And I think this fight had to be at catch weight partially because of that. And I don't know, man. I just don't think Godinez is going to be quite as ready as she might be if she had a full camp. So yeah, for those smaller reasons, I'm taking Ducote, but I don't think I'm putting a cent anywhere near this fight.
Yeah, that's fair to say. That's exactly why I have Emily as my one weight. Godinez, she again, she's 1-1. She's got good. She's got fair submission, but she's got not bad striking either. She has a 3.42 significant strikes landed per minute. But Ducote, she's got to be our dog then too. I mean, she throws 6.23 significant strikes per minute, so I expect her to be coming in with that high volume. And that being said, yeah, she's going to be my dog too. Then her being the underdog
Well, my dog's Michael Johnson, big
as
time.
your dog. Yeah.
I'll put
So yeah.
so much more money. I'm like I said, I wouldn't even bet a cent if it was on the floor on Emily Ducote. Like that's just my feelings on women's MMA as a whole. I do lean her to win this fight, but that's the reason we have this weight system, is so that you guys can hear that I'm picking Ducote to win, but this is nothing I'm that interested in. She has a negative striking differential. For all we know, Loopy could throw one punch and she's out. I don't think that's going to happen, right? But those are the reasons why I'm completely avoiding this with any money. Personally, I'm looking at Michael Johnson's money line, and of course, our lock for the pod looks to be Mackenzie Dern at this point. But again, with women's MMA, like, and she's the favorite, so you got to bet 186 to win 100 right now. It's just not, maybe you're confident in doing like, there are bets out there where you can do like Dern by submission, TKO, or no action, meaning if the fight goes to decision, you get your money back. And if Dern wins any other way, you get your win. Maybe you look at something like that, but even that, man, I don't know. It seems kind of likely to go to decision. So those are my thoughts. I don't know if you have any last thoughts, Jose, but that will be the show for the week.
No, yeah, I think you wrapped it up pretty well. Yeah, that's it for me.
Cool. Cool. Well, thank you guys for listening. Again, follow us on Twitter at Moneyline MMA to get weekly pick updates. And then let us know down below in the comments who you guys agree with between my 5 weight and Jose's 4 weight, Michael Johnson and Diego Ferreira. That's going to be a great fight to open up the main card. And one of the few fights I'm genuinely excited for on this card, if I'm being quite honest. So thanks for listening. We will definitely be back when the UFC is. Bring in the heat. Hopefully we get a better card next time. Excuse me.